Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the iRacing Today radio show for February the 10th, 2015. Approximately 44 minutes late starting, as Chad, I'm sure, will remind you, because, he wanted me to get started, and he kept complaining that it was all my fault that we weren't started. But we're started now, ladies and gentlemen, so welcome into the show, everybody. I hope you're having a grand old day and a wonderful start to your February and are preparing for Valentine's Day, which is only 4 days away. Which is also the first day that NASCAR racing happens in any capacity, and that's just mean. But this is the iRacing Today radio show, of course, and I'm your host, Trevor Cameron. And, of course, the person who is refusing to stare at the camera over there, that's Mr. Chad Dalton. Hey, Chad, but don't stare at the camera, because I find it creepy when you do.
Hi. Is this thing on?
No, wait, that's not the camera you're looking into. Wrong camera. No,
that's not a camera. I promise you.
Well, what are you poking?
I'm poking my microphone.
Oh, well, don't do that. Because that'll just annoy people?
Nah, they'd like it.
Oh,
it's got a good beat to it. It's like, doom, 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 doom.
They'll like what I tell them to like. And they'll like this.
Heck yeah, they will.
Excellent. But, anyway, everybody, thanks for tuning in to the show. We've got a real big shoe for you this week. Actually, we had a kind of quick hit show, and then something big kind of hit the airwaves on the Oval side. Well, I guess by airwaves I mean us, but some big news hit, and we're going to be discussing that and how that affects our lives and who we are as people, or at least as iRacers. So we've got some news, which is including that very news. We've got a little bit of experiences going on with the two of us, and an email in from a fan describing how his 24 hours at Daytona went, and we'll discuss that as well. We've got our poll question results, which we'll go over right quick like. And, of course, we want you to go vote for this month's poll, because that's who you are. You're the people who participate and help out. As we're finding out, more and more participation. It is awesome and great and wonderful. It's also almost Daytona 500 time, which is also great. But I guess it says announcements. That section used to say news, and now I'm very confused. I don't know how to handle that. I was going to say, now we're going to go to the news, and now it just says announcements, and I don't know.
This is a iRacing Today radio show alert.
You've changed the format, and I can't deal with change. Also, I can't deal with my new headphones, because they're still messing up my head.
Totally changed the format like a month ago.
Well, it still said news last week.
No, actually, there was nothing last week because we didn't have any news.
Oh, I see. All right, I've got my new headphones that I talked about, and they are great for making video games sound awesome once I got all the settings right and whatnot. But they also, as I was discussing with Chad, they block out all sound. They're very good at canceling out all the noise, so I can just hear the sounds of the games and the racing and all that stuff, and that's great. But I found that when I cannot hear my own voice echoing back at me when I'm talking into a microphone, it messes my brain up. So I've now taken one of the cones off because I can't handle it, man. I don't like change. That's what I'm basically getting at, is I do not and cannot handle change. And I like it when people randomly tweet just for no reason my tag on Twitter there. Wow. Okay.
I'm confused.
I don't know, Twitter. I mean, every now and again, I just got a random Twitter thing, and it just confused me. And
oh yeah, that has to do with Twitch.
Oh, does it now? Are they all like,
yes.
"Hey, you went live on Twitch?" So now we've got the microphone, the head thing back here, and now
Well,
I don't know what I'm doing.
Trevor plays with his headset. So
yeah, I know it's great, and my hair is now.
Breaking news. Stop talking.
No.
News.
I'm not. I'm talking about my hair. I'm talking about my hair and how much my headphones are messed up on my hair, and I can't handle this.
Out of the buried under a pile of snow iRacing headquarters today.
Oh yeah, I guess they're pretty buried, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, and it just keeps snowing.
It won't stop.
In case you don't know, it has snowed like tons of inches in Massachusetts, which is where the iRacing headquarters are located. And apparently it's going to snow again this week. So yeah, hopefully iRacing survives. But anyways, Tony Gardner crawled out from underneath the big pile of snow to make an extra long post this morning
Hmm.
at approximately 10:31 a.m. Eastern Time. At least that's what it says. And they have decided to mix up the standard NASCAR Oval Series for the Class B and Class C license levels. And actually, it is something that they've been thinking about for a while, he says, but it was one of those things, pull the trigger, wait, pull the trigger, wait, and they decided to pull the trigger. So,
Well, it's one of those things where once we get into the actual announcement, that if they didn't pull the trigger now, like I get the feeling they weren't ready for this. But if they didn't do it now, then their next opportunity was a year down the road. So it's like, all right, we either do it now and it fails spectacularly, or we wait another year and think about it. So I'm kind of glad that they went with, well, let's just throw this all up in the air and see what happens.
yes. So, as most of you will know, iRacing, of course, has the NASCAR iRacing.com. Well, then, the iRacing.com. Got to
The,
get the .com.
the NASCAR.com, iRacing.com series of
.com.
awesomeness.
Awesome.com. Um, so the NASCAR iRacing series, and of course that only races a couple of days during the week, and Trevor and I have talked about that on the last few shows.
Hmm.
So anyways, they have, got to get that famous line in there, they have this series that runs every week, except for when NASCAR is not racing, because it follows the NASCAR schedule. Well, the Class B and the Class C series, which of course the Class B would be your Nationwide or Xfinity or Busch, whichever era you grew up in.
Is it
Um,
bad that I had no idea they changed primary sponsors on the Nationwide series? Like I looked at the NASCAR page, like, probably about 2 3 weeks ago, just kind of getting ready to get up to speed here, and I saw this Xfinity thing, and my first thought was, what the heck is that? And then I noticed it was between, Sprint and Camping World, so I said, well, I guess that must be the Nationwide series.
yeah, I still call it the Busch series, but anyways, so on iRacing it's the Class B series. And of course, that series has a open setup series and then a fixed setup series. And both of those series were running 12 weeks each, with each 4 seasons that we have. And the same thing in the Class C series, which is the trucks, um, or what is real life Camping World Truck Series. And that, of course, was the same thing with a fixed and an open, and it had 12 weeks each. So here's the change moving forward. Everything in the Class A series is going to remain the same so far as the NIS goes, with how it races on like Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays with the open and the fixed series, and none of that changes. Um, and the B series has that fixed series is going to remain the same, where it's 12 weeks throughout the year, and it's a very popular series, obviously, because it's fixed setups. And
I was going to say, so far, this sounds like the worst announcement ever. So this thing, that's going to be the same. And this other thing, yeah, that's not changing either. So,
yeah, we're gonna get there. We're building it up. This is how you build stuff up. And the Class C trucks fixed is also going to stay the same.
mhm.
But the open setup series is where things are changing up just a wee bit here. For the Class B and the Class C, both the open setup series are going to go from 12 weeks each with 4 different seasons to running the full length, mimicking the real world schedule that those two series race, the Xfinity and the Camping World Trucks, in case you want to go look at their schedules. And it'll copy it week after week after week, with one little exception to the Truck Series that we'll cover here in a second. And so that's the change here. They've had a lot of people that have asked about running a full season in the B Series and the C Series to go along with the A Series. And here you go. We now have that. So The B series, currently, the Open series is obviously in, I think, like week 8 or 9, I guess, of its season. And they did say that it's going to end this week. So this is now the last week of the B series in the Open.
And I'm wondering, like, I, I, I fully expected to see some backlash on that, but I didn't. I mean, it's probably there.
Yeah.
I just didn't see it. Somebody who was going for a championship, somebody who, but I never saw anybody go, "Oh no, why are you doing that?" I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure somebody did. I just didn't see it. I expected it to be
And I'm
more.
sure they said it in that
Oh
exact
yeah, they're like,
voice.
"Oh
They're like,
no,
oh no!
oh no, my
Oh.
my championship is all ruined now. Oh no."
So, with that ending next Tuesday, a week from right now, when at the time that we're recording this, the new full-length Open Series Nationwide Series slash Bush slash Xfinity slash Class B is going to kick off, of course, in Daytona, and then it'll follow the real-life schedule all the way through to Homestead at in November. The Truck Series is the slight difference here where, as we mentioned before, they are coming out with two new trucks, and the Toyota is obviously coming, and then of course they're going to update the Chevy to its new body style. We already had the Chevy, but we're just updating it. And those two trucks, they feel Tony says they feel very confident will be released in the March build, which is coming up next month. Unbelievable.
I know, like,
But
man, where did this season go?
I know. I feel like we just started. And so he's saying that, and of course, in case you're not familiar with iRacing, once a season starts, they can't swap out cars because everything with the way that their system is set up. Once all the cars are set up for each individual series, they're there for the rest of the season. Once the season's in, they can do whatever they want. So because they're coming out with these new trucks, and they kind of want to debut them, to kick off the season instead of using what we have now. Um, they're going to delay the start of the truck series until the March build. And then, which, to be quite honest, they race at Daytona and then they have like 5 off weeks in the real truck series, anyways. So it's not really like we're going to be missing a bunch of races or something or get way behind.
Right.
They have plenty of off weeks, so we'll catch back up. But the truck series will be a little odd for probably at least the first few weeks, I would imagine. And then they'll kick that off, of course, in Daytona and run the full length uh, of the schedule, with the exception of one track. And Trevor, can you tell us what track that is?
That would be Eldora, which created quite the stir. Everybody, basically, I swear it was like what? Yeah, it was 2 posts down. Like Tony makes this big epic post explaining some very significant changes to the way that the 3 top tier oval series are going to be run. A lot of excitement going on, and it took exactly 1, 2, 3 responses before somebody said, "You said the entire truck series. Therefore, Eldora is confirmed. Therefore, dirt is confirmed." So it took them 3 posts to get to dirt from all of that.
And that is the iRacing community, ladies and gentlemen.
That is the iRacing community in a nutshell.
But Tony Gardner's response to that, of course, is we are following real world with these 2 new NASCAR Open Series. When trucks are at Eldora in real life, this series, the Class C series, will not race that week. Other than that, he believes, and I'm pretty sure he's right, that they have every Sprint Cup, Nationwide slash Xfinity. I love how he just, in every post, is Nationwide. It hasn't clicked with him yet.
See, I'm not the only one.
I know, which is pretty cool, he says. And then at the bottom, I love his response. Put dirt on the someday clock, not the soon clock.
Yeah,
yet.
they run on completely different, different schedules.
Yes.
Yeah, it's almost like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon thing, where everybody's always 6 degrees away from Kevin Bacon, no matter what they do. Apparently, any given post, any piece of news officially out of iRacing is always at no more than 6 degrees away from confirming dirt, is what I've gathered from the people in the iRacing community. So,
Yes. But with that said, it's a pretty interesting change, adding the 2 full-length season Open Series. Well, they're not really adding it; they're just kind of changing it. And of course, the fixed series are staying the same. So if you're like, oh, I don't want to race 30 some odd races, stick to the fixed. If you hate fixed setup racing, then I guess go join a league. Because I don't know what else you would do.
But I mean, this is it's actually very very significant what they've done here, because I mean, even though it may not seem it on the surface of it, but this right here gets us that one step closer to basically mimicking, our real life correlation between what we're doing and and the real racing. I mean, you remember, see, I called it like what, a year ago, when in a fever dream, when we talked about the NASCAR iRacing.com series. I said, and didn't they say they were doing something for the Nationwide series too, or did I imagine that? And you're all like, no, that never happened. It's like, oh, well, that would be
You had a
cool.
vision.
Well, it is cool. Like I said, the delay in the truck series isn't, that's probably a bit of a bummer, but I mean, can you imagine the backlash if they had gone ahead with the plan and then couldn't insert the Toyota into the series like as they were going? Imagine how mad people would be then. Huh, So,
Yeah. Yeah, like me.
oh,
Not
you
that I'm
don't
gonna
you don't
race.
care about the trucks.
Yes, I do. Truck racing is awesome. It's better than cup racing most of the time. So yeah, that's basically what's happening in a much shorter way than what Tony lists here.
Yeah,
There's
which
like
caused some
four
confusion.
paragraphs.
There was more than one person who looked at that and said, "I." It's it's almost like on Finding Nemo when the when Marlin is sitting there talking to the baby turtle there, and he's saying a bunch of things, and he's like, "I know you're trying to communicate to me, but I just can't understand a word you're saying." Like that was a lot of
Yes.
people saying. It's like I know there's some
I'm
important information in
trying.
here, but I have no idea what you're saying, Tony. So there was more than a little bit of confusion. So I think this was kind of thrown together pretty quick. But and I can't remember if you mentioned when you were talking about the trucks, the other difference in the trucks is that they're actually going to be running as an event series. You probably mentioned that, and I was fiddling about with my headphones. But that's a main difference between the way that the Nationwide Xfinity. What's an Xfinity anyway? Is that
It's
a
Comcast internet.
oh what?
The internet. There's actually a lot of sponsorships from the internet entering NASCAR this year.
So it's a division of Comcast that is only available to a small portion of the people in the United States, and they're supporting a nationwide series. I don't.
Yeah, they've made a lot of money.
Huh. Like, at least nationwide made sense. I'm pretty sure you can get nationwide insurance all across the United States. But I guess it doesn't have to make sense. It just has to be money. But
You
anyway,
have to ask Dale Jr. about that one. He's been with him for more than 35 years.
so the commercials will tell us. The but the significant difference and what's going to affect. I mean, I guess we're kind of move into how this affects us and our plans moving forward. The main thing that's different between the two series that is going to kind of affect how I'm going to approach it is the fact that they're running these two series slightly different. In that the nation, the B class
Just stick
series,
to iRacing terms.
the B class series is going to run as while it's going to run the full series at half distance, so longer races. For the longer 33 races, I believe the nationwide cars do. Dang it, did it again. Throughout the series, but they're going to do it as if it was the old series. So they're going to be running races every 2 hours all week long, not as a special event series like the nationwide iRacing. Nope. The NASCAR iRacing.com. See, I'm even saying nationwide where I shouldn't have even said nationwide before. That's how messed up I am, ladies and gentlemen. But
Man, time zones and nationwide
it's on my side. That's what I know.
goes with grace.
But so the
We're so
NASCAR
getting sued.
the NASCAR iRacing.com series is running like we mentioned in that special event sort of vein where they only have 7 time slots. These are your 7 races to give it that significance. The truck series is going to do the same thing, although I don't think they've mentioned any sort of scheduling. Da-da-da-da. Wait, hold on. Did they? No, hold on. Now I read. Did he change this? This message
No,
was
I
edited
was going to
six
tell you that
times.
you've read all of this wrong. The B series and the C series are the same, where they are not event
I
series and they will run
swear.
every 2 hours.
I swear. When I read this
I'm literally
afternoon,
like the only person that figured this out the first time that I read it.
when I read that
Nope, you
this
cannot
afternoon,
defend
it
yourself.
said that the B series was going to be run every 2 hours, and the C
Right here.
series was
The
going to.
difference is it will not be an event series, just running a few times a week like the NASCAR Racing Series. The races will run every 2 hours and be half distance as the World World. Then you skip to the Truck Series. The difference is it will not be an event series, just running a few times a week like the NASCAR Racing Series. The races will run every 2 hours and be half the distance as the World World counterpart. The drop weeks will be blah blah blah.
Okay, you know what? I think what happened was I read and skipped one word in that sentence. Now listen, if you skip the word not, the sentence reads, the difference is it will be an event series just running a few times a week like the NASCAR iRacing series. That's
Yeah.
what I did. And then didn't read the rest of the word the sentences.
Not. We need to email Tony and underline that. Not in there. Yes, because when you first started saying that, I was like, okay, what's he doing here?
I you
Then
know
I
what?
thought, no, I don't want to jump over his toes because maybe he's, seen something that I haven't seen. But then the whole time that you're sitting there saying that, I'm sitting here literally reading that sentence going, where is he getting this information?
Wow. I thought they were going to run the two of them different and
Nope.
to see if
So to clarify, block out the last 5 minutes.
yep, that never happened.
Here's what is really happening. The iRacing Class A.com, the iRacing.com series, the NIS, will be running like 4 days a week, Thursday through Sunday, and you'll have like 7 time slots to make a race. The B series and the C series, the ones that are going to be full seasons, will run every 2 hours. I don't know. I don't think they mentioned on the odd or the evens yet, as far as
Probably
your time
probably
goes.
whatever the old one was, I'd imagine.
Yeah, which I don't know that off the top of my head. But anyways, it'll run every 2 hours. So that is what you need to know. The end.
Well,
Now
don't
that
well,
Trevor
don't I
is
feel
all
foolish now?
embarrassed and gonna go hide in a corner,
No, probably not. I
I'm
mean,
like the only person that got this right. Man, I'm so excited.
well,
I'm smart.
it's not so much that you got it right, in the fact that
I read it right.
I just got it wrong. That's all.
See, that means that I got it right.
Well,
Don't
says
take away
you.
my thunder.
Thunder.
Thunder. Now, uh, breaking news from the iRacing Today radio show, and not just from iRacing. That was the iRacing news. This is our show news. Hey, when we've had fun racing together, you're supposed to help me on this, Trevor. Be like, yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
What?
Okay, I need to fire him and hire Andy or somebody. Anyways,
Right now. I'm still reeling from the fact that I apparently have lost the ability to read, and
yep.
I'm breaking news that isn't happening. What am I, Brian Williams or something here? I mean, ooh, see, come on, topical. No? Oh, come
Anyways,
on, I deserve something for that.
no, I'm just going back to the news. So we are going to be gearing back up for another set of, or at least one, but probably a set of fun races with you guys and us. In case you're new to the show and you didn't go back and listen to all the other ones, or at least some of them, we've done a couple of these in the past where we've done the quote iRacing Today radio show fun races. And basically what we do is we get together, do some short races. Trevor and I are racing with as many of you guys and girls that can show up. So we're going to start planning this again. We don't have anything set in stone or nothing like that. We're just throwing this out here. So
Yep.
here's the deal. You guys send us some suggestions. Wow. You forgot how to read. I'm forgetting how to talk.
Excellent.
And yeah, so we'll just fall down together. Um,
Breaking news. This is the last show ever because apparently we've forgotten how to do this.
Uh, we just need to stick to the driving part. So, anyways, send us some thoughts, ideas, suggestions that you might have. One idea that I had was to implement the new driver swap feature and do either one oval race or one road race, or do both, road and oval, and use the driver swap feature and do like little 50 lap races, for example, where you have two drivers on a team each. Trevor and I would not be allowed to be on the same team, so we could be on a team with one of you guys
Hmm.
or girls. And then we would just, I don't know, in a 50 lap race, one of us races 25 laps, the other one does the other 25 laps. So that was just the thought that I had. But obviously, we're just thinking out loud. So send us what you guys think.
Yeah,
Because, yeah,
yeah. It's been a while since we did those, and we had a lot of fun while we were doing it. So, and it almost it's weird because it almost feels a bit different to be doing these fun races because back when we did them the first time and the second time, it was trying to get a bunch of you guys together and doing some racing, and now that we've gone through the 24 at Daytona, and racing with a bunch of you guys, on the service anyway, just the random encounters. It's like, well, we already do race with you guys, so now it feels weird trying to get you guys together to do it because we do it anyway, but this will be more organized, as opposed to not that. Okay, bad example. The 24 was very organized. That's it. I'm out.
yeah, I think I'm just going to take over.
But so anyway, yeah, give us some ideas. I like the idea of doing the driver swap stuff and like having just some mini teams, like 2-on-2 or because that's about the only way that'd be fun. Because if we had if everybody shows up and there's 15 people on a team, it's like okay, do a lap, then come in and swap, then do a lap and come in and swap.
Yeah.
Not much of a
And for
race.
the record, we would try to use a car or track combination that most everyone would have, either in the rookies with the rookie stuff that you get for with your subscription, or something that is just unbelievably popular. That we would be able to use if you have to pay for it. So that way, most of you could race.
Yes. So anyway, yeah, send us your suggestions through the normal channels. You know, Twitter, feedback at iRacingTodayRadio.com. Carrier pigeon would work. Randomly stalk us on the in the sim, that would work. Just let us know one way or the other.
Please don't stalk us.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm up in Canada. They can't get me.
So what's happening next week?
Next week, well, actually, it ties back to something that I wanted to actually get back into there. And before you kind of moved on, in all of our stumbling around the actual news, I wanted to talk about how that might affect how we were going to change what we were going to be racing.
Well,
What's not going to
we can
affect
get
is
back there.
well, what's not going to affect is what's happening next week, and that's the iRacing.com Daytona 500, which is happening next week. So we're let's see, the first one is on Wednesday, so we're like just over a week away from our big marquee event beginning the oval season. So that's pretty cool. I think that both you and I are going to make an attempt at it. I'm going to hope for the Thursday night at 9 o'clock series, which is the fixed, which was more because I was planning on doing the NASCAR iRacing series fixed on the Thursday nights, like we discussed before. So I figured if I'm going to get points somewhere, so I might as well get it in that one. But that is the slot that actually works best for me anyway. The only problem is I wish it wasn't the fixed for the Daytona, because I'd like to have some freedom of setup when it comes to Daytona, be it changing the tape, be it changing how loose the car is, making at least a couple little tweaks and stuff. But anyway, I'll probably be doing the Thursday night one as it stands. 9 o'clock my time, 7 o'clock Eastern, probably. But then again, I don't know time zones. That's probably
Dude,
backwards.
okay, you ser Wow.
Did I? No, wait. It's
Does
7.
anybody else want to help me host
It's
this
7
show?
o'clock my time, 9 o'clock Eastern is what I meant to say. See? Don't know time zones. Can't do nothing.
Yeah, Scott Feltenhausen points out a very, very cool thing in the chat. They've moved the blacklist record night, or just show night, whatever, from Mondays to Thursdays, which is really depressing. Because now It's like I finally have a clear Monday, nothing going on, and there's no more blacklist. And where does it move? To the day I just cleared up to race.
Well, at least we're not doing the show anymore on that night, so there's
Yeah,
that. You know,
because I would have just not been showing up, and then you would get to hear Trevor screw up everything.
I, you know what, I'm just not on my game today, man. I tell you,
You've messed up 3 times, man. Three
I
times.
know. I can't read. I can't talk. I still don't know time zones, but that's nothing new. I
Yeah.
mean, up in Canada, everything works different up here, man. You should know that by now.
No.
Yeah, all right. But anyway, so the for those of you who wish to participate in the iRacing.com Daytona 500, that is happening next week, which means that the servers will open up for practice and probably qualifying as they usually do. Wait, no, abort. Practice will open up on Monday evening when they change over to the new week. For what? Fourth time. I corrected myself. That's got to count for something. I said abort. That's
Yeah.
in the middle of my own sentence. I aborted. So that's got to be. That doesn't count. That's 3.5.
When you know you need to just quit.
Well, I forgot they were doing the qualifying right before the thing.
It's like, honey, happy anniversary. Abort, abort, abort.
Wait, you're not my wife. Who are you? Whose house is this? Oh no!
Can't
Singing telegram walks in. Oh, so no,
get out of here. Abort, abort, go. Yeah, ugg wall crash. There we go.
So, I
Back
don't
to
know
your
if,
story.
if you want to race NASCAR, something
It's the Daytona 500.
do it.
Ugh.
Just don't listen to me. Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be part of that
Yeah,
NASCAR iRacing
I-
series.
I will say to get us back on track that I'm going to attempt to make that Thursday night race. I do have a swamped day on that Thursday, so it will depend on how tired I am because we've mentioned it before. That's not just the Daytona 500 for 80 laps. That's the Daytona 500 for all 200 of the possible laps. So while it's easy because it's just plate racing, I don't know. That's a long one. So it will depend on if I'm tired or not. If I make that. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to race because I think they do one at like 10 a.m. on Saturday, my time. So if
Don't
that's
ask
the
me. I
case,
don't.
yeah, I'm not asking you.
Magnets. How
I'm
do they
asking,
work? I don't know.
I'm not talking to you at all, actually. But if they do, and if I can't make the one on Thursday, then I'll try to make that one because I'll have caught up on all my sleep by then.
Yeah, it's going to be a weird one for me doing a special event like that on a Thursday night because even though it is 7 o'clock my time starting, but it's still like a 4.5 hour race depending on yellows and whatnot. So
Yeah,
that's still going to be late. Like normally, when they do these, when they used to do them and they weren't part of this series, it was a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday. Well, it was usually Saturday afternoon type thing. So it was easier to block that amount of time apart for that. But Thursday still is the best shot for me, so I'm going to give that a shot. Now, what I was going to talk about before before whatever just happened.
comedy gold.
I don't think so. I think this
Well,
is.
yeah, because you're the one making all the mistakes.
You know what? I think what it is people should demand a refund. Even though this is a free show, people should ask for a refund based on what has just occurred this evening. That's what I say.
Can I demand a refund? Because I mean, I could be playing a video game right now instead of doing this.
I have video games like lined up for me to play, like sitting there looking at me saying, "Hey, why aren't you doing this instead?" That's what I got going on.
Okay, but now back to your original story.
My original story was the fact that I was going to be trying to do, as we talked about, moving the show from Thursday to Tuesday. The idea was to be running the NASCAR iRacing.com series on the Thursday nights as often as I could. And as everybody knows, between family and my work schedule with travel and whatnot, that was going to be challenging to get those races in. I was going to try as many as I could. But now they made this change and made the nationwide, I don't care, the nationwide series and the truck series in the same fashion, but only, every 2 hours so that I can actually kind of schedule it in. Now, I don't know what the participation is going to be like. I assume it's going to be pretty good. But so instead of that, I think what I'll probably still make the NASCAR ones or the Cup Series ones as often as I can. But I'm glad that I can actually have a series I can actually try to actually make all the races in, especially with the nationwide car, which is what I'm going to do, because they have those three out of 4 weeks they go road course racing, and as everybody knows, the iRacing Today Motorsports is primarily a road racing team, so I'm going to be doing a lot of road racing there. So I'm kind of excited to do that little stint in the middle there. Although it's weird, I know why they explain why they did it, but when they made the schedule to make like it's the month of road racing rather than kind of spreading it out, it's probably easier on the teams, it's probably easier on the drivers, but it's kind of weird, as opposed to just kind of popping them in every now and again. But they're doing what? Mid Ohio, Road America, and I don't remember what the third one was that they're doing for the nationwide guys. But anyway, so I'm going to do
Which ones did you mention? Road America,
Road America
Mid
and Mid Ohio.
And then they go to that track that is. It'll come to me eventually.
Wow. Yeah. Is that,
Thought they go to Watkins Glen too, but I'm trying to think of the other one.
oh, maybe it's the Glen that I'm just thinking of that I forgot to mention. Because I
They
think they only
used to
did
go
the
to
three.
Montreal.
Right. Which was, man, that was a fun race to watch.
Yes,
But
it was. Quite disappointed when that one got taken away.
But anyway, so I'm going to be doing a little bit of and I'm just going to continue to call it as such because, I'm just going to follow Tony's lead. So I'm going to be doing mostly nationwide series racing,
Hey, I'm following Rick Hendrick. It's the Busch Series, man.
which means I'm going to have to get somebody to feed me setups. I guess I saw the setup, what the heck is that tool called? Setup swapper tool or thing.
Analyzer?
No, not the
No.
analyzer.
Yeah, the setup sync.
Yeah. In order to grab some setups for that, because I still have no idea how to turn a wrench in these virtual garages. Thanks, Chad. Looking at the chat. So anyway, that is the big racing news. That is as messed up and convoluted as that is. I
So, what did we learn tonight?
I don't know. We learned that I get new headphones and I forget how to talk because
Well, we learned that we've got 2 new series that are full length that are running every 2 hours, and Trevor is going to run the B car
yes,
as
and
much as the rooms will allow him to do it.
right. And with my, like I said, as between my travel and everything else, scheduling in one particular night every week was going to be a challenge, but having the whole week open allows me a much bigger opportunity to do so, kind of thing. Plus, I'm on this new kick right now where I'm trying to schedule out every part of my life because I find that if I don't schedule anything, I get nothing done. So the whole week goes by, and it's like, okay, well, I need to exercise at least 3 times. I need to do this. I need to do this, and all this stuff. And then the end of the week comes, and I've done none of it except for the podcast. It's the only thing that ever gets done because I have to show up because you're going to be sitting there waiting for me if I don't. But so I'm on this big scheduling kick now. So, maybe I'll schedule in a day, to do that race. But,
You need a personal assistant.
apparently so. Apparently I'm just too busy. Can't figure anything out. They should also talk for me as well. I'll give them ideas, but what to talk about. But
Yeah, so I guess, and this actually was a discussion that Trevor and I had through email over the past 5 days, where, and it's funny because I had kind of been thinking about running some more of the Road Warrior series because one of the things that I've never really done on iRacing is I've never completely, or at least even in a small amount, have participated in like the big races, not just like the Road Warrior, but like when they were the World Tour events. Like I ran a couple of Daytona 500s. Actually, I've only run one, so just kidding. And I ran
abort.
Yeah, I ran the they I think this was in 2010. They ran the Talladega Cup race in the spring, but the night before, they also ran the B car at Talladega, and that was kind of like a double header weekend, and I did both of those. But but 2010 was the most I think I've done in one year, so far as like world tour big time events go. Um, and I kind of had this idea where I was like, maybe I should try and participate in more of the bigger races, which some of them are in the Road Warrior series, some of them are in the NIS, like your Daytonas and your Brickyards and yada yada yada, and the Coke 600. So I was like, okay, what if I try to do that? Well, then iRacing changed something else this week as well in the Road Warrior series,
Oh yeah,
which wasn't.
I forgot that even happened after the NASCAR stuff.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, you're getting more incident points over here. So I well, and I shouldn't say change because it was actually an addition to the Road Warrior series schedule. Because there was such an overwhelming response, which I'm really not surprised, to the Roar before the 24 and then the actual 24 at Daytona, where they had a lot of teams, a lot of individuals participating, and of course they had a lot of actual individuals with nobody else on their team participating, as we mentioned last week. Um, they decided to add in the 6 hours at the Glen and the 24 hours of Spa to the Road Warrior schedule. So there are two more team events now, and I think there were like three on the original schedule, or four, actually. There might have just been three. But anyways, so they added in those two extra team racing events, which kind of changed up what I was doing because then it was like, oh, well, now if there's more team events, the odds of me either racing with show people or with IRTM or with the Hensley Motorsports or with somebody has got to be pretty good. So then it was like, okay, well, there's two new races, that's probably going to be time that I have to commit. So then that kind of put the Road Warrior thing into this deal where it's like, man, now I'm going to be racing a lot more than I don't totally want to. So then I kind of got back into this I don't know what the heck I'm doing world. I've always wanted to participate in NIS, and I really, really, really do. But I've also always wanted to have this year, or at least half a year, at the least, where I don't do anything really on the oval side and I just do the road course stuff. Because through most of my iRacing career, I've been more of an oval racer, where I've done some road racing through each year. But I wanted to flip that, and I wanted to do the road racing as my primary stuff with almost no oval racing. And as of right now, you guys know that I'm loving the V8 car. It's probably catapulted as fast as anything to my favorite car in the sim right now, and I love everything about that car and want to keep racing it. So I'm confirming right now that I'm going to. Everything else, I have no idea. I want to race in NIS. The other part of me wants to look into just doing all road racing. The other part of me wants to do the Road Warrior series, even though there's a lot of it going on. If I was only doing V8 and Road Warrior series, that's not so much racing because the Road Warrior series is spread out for the most part. So basically, I say all this to say I have no idea what I'm doing. But I do know I'm going to at least try to race in the Daytona 500, depending on how next week goes, because it's kind of a crazy week for me.
Yeah, and like I said, with me, it's going to be the Daytona 500. It's going to be same sort of thing where all of a sudden I found my the desire to do more of the Road Warrior stuff after what we had going on with the Daytona 24. I did enjoy the V8 car, like we mentioned, that it was kind of the thing that rejuvenated my my love of the sim. But I've really taken a liking to the BMW after spending so many hours with it when we were practicing and then obviously in the actual Daytona race. So I'm kind of inclined to almost do some road racing in the GT3 series in the BMW. kind of partial to what we were, well, something we're going to discuss is, what kind of our experience type thing, and that kind of leads into that is the fact that I've been doing some more practice in the BMW, preparing for potential Sebring 12-hour race, and that was fun. Like Sebring is not, it's not a challenging track like from a technical point of view, but it's challenging because it's so big and wide, and some of the corners are hard to judge just because it's so wide open. And like the BMW, while I'm certainly not the quickest guy out there by any means, and I know where my kind of my benchmark is as far as speed goes, and I'm a few seconds off that, but I was able to jump in that BMW and felt instantly comfortable, like tackling like the corners like I normally don't. So I don't know. I think I've really taken a shine to that, and it's almost. I think it's kind of between, because it's between the McLaren, which I really liked, and the V8, which I really liked. This is kind of like a middle ground between the two of them almost, and it's really seems to have to speak to my kind of driving style. So I don't know. I'm kind of inclined more on the road side to do more BMW racing, which is weird because the first time I drove it, I hated it. But then again, that seems to be the way I go. Like, this is the worst car ever. And then all of a sudden I drive it for a few more laps. It's like, I love this thing. This is the best thing I've ever driven ever. So,
Yeah. Now to go along with what both of us are talking about here, this is not like a. This is more we've talked about before. Obviously, some of us take iRacing more serious than others, which is okay to a certain degree. But this is more, at least with me, and I'm pretty sure it is the same way with Trevor, is the reason why we're trying to figure out exactly what we want to do is because we want to do something that's going to allow us to have the most fun and enjoyment. So for me, the last few times that I raced the Cup car were not the most fun things ever. But I've driven the Cup car for nope, two and a half, almost
abort,
3 years.
abort.
Yeah, 2.5, almost 3 years now. So it's like I've been doing it a while. Am I getting burnt out a little on it, or is it the way the car is right now with the tire model or the physics or whatever, And I'm trying to go through all that in my head. I'm trying to figure out, okay, am I not having fun because I'm just not having fun because I'm burnt out, or am I not having fun because the car doesn't drive the way that I would like it to drive? So, and like I said, I've always kind of wanted to do road racing, and right now the way that this V8 has gone, and even the way the Skip Barber was going, I was really, I'm really improving with everything on the roadside, and my I rating is like really shooting up, which is not like a huge concern, but it's still kind of cool.
Well, yeah,
And
yeah, like you said, it's nothing that you're really focusing on, but just by doing the racing, it's just happening naturally, and that's pretty dang cool. I mean, the fact that
yeah,
it's just going up because you're just getting better at road racing.
yeah. And when I first joined iRacing, for about the first 2 or 3 weeks, all I did was road racing. I didn't even touch the oval stuff, and I mean, I was in the rookie series because I was brand new, but I got pretty comfortable at racing. And at the time, the rookie series was the Pontiac Solstice, and now I think it's the Mazda or the Miata, whatever you want to call it. And I got comfortable in that car at the tracks that it rotated, which I think were Lime Rock and Laguna Seca. And I got very comfortable, even won a couple of races and had an opportunity to win a couple more, but it didn't happen. So I know I can be good, but good is a different level on the roadside for me. At road racing, I can be competitive if I put in some practice. I can keep it on the road. I've always been able to pretty much keep it on the road. But the competitive part, being able to have some speed and race for good finishes, I know I can do if I just put in some practice and get more comfortable. And I'm doing it in the V8. So the more that I do that, the more that my confidence and the more that my enjoyment is going to go flying through the roof. So I'm kind of in a tough spot here. It's like I know the Cup car. I'm not going to have to put in a lot of practice every week if I do NIS because I know all the tracks, I know the Cup car, yada, yada, yada. And I I mean, I can do the Cup car, like I know it. But at the same time, because of that exact same reason, I know the Cup car. Maybe I should venture off and do something else. So it's it's been going through my. You guys would not believe how much I've thought about it all for the last week. So yeah, that's where I sit.
Yeah, and see, that's the difference with me if I'm going to be doing the NIS. And like I said, I do plan on doing some of those races as well if I can. That I can't just jump into it. Like that's going to be a commitment on my end. Like if I'm going to be doing a road course and an oval, even though I know the oval courses, just because I've been watching racing forever. I mean, I don't have to learn where the turns are. Pretty easy. It's four of them. Really, only two. But in order to drive them safely and well, then I'm going to have to put the time in the practice in. I can't just jump into it because I haven't been racing the A class car for years, and have that comfort level to jump right in. But I mean, the B class car, a little less power. It'll be a little easier now that I know. Apparently, the truck. News to me, but apparently the truck is not an event series, so maybe I might do that instead because they're even slower.
But if iRacing updates to the new rules package, the Cup car will be slower and will be a little less of a handful because it's going to be down on horsepower this year, much like the Nationwide car, which is another thing, to be honest, that I mean, I have no clue when iRacing is going to do those updates. They may do it before the season next week, or they may not do it until March. I don't know. But my fear is that I my fear is that they'll downgrade the horsepower and they'll kind of make it into what it is more in real life, which is great because that's what they should do.
Right.
But that I won't like that because the last few times that I've raced the B car, I didn't like it because it was down on the horsepower and it just, I mean, it doesn't mean that I hate the B car because I've raced a lot in it and I have always liked it, but I just didn't like it as much as I was the Cup car because the Cup car, you guys know me, I love cars that are kind of out of control, have a lot of horsepower, and if they're going to take that away some, it concerns me in the sense of, am I going to still like this car or not? And the V8 doesn't have as much horsepower as the Cup car does, but it has that craziness in the way you drive it about it. So it's still, I still get my enjoyment out of the way that I would like to drive a car, and that's one of the reasons why I would love to try and tackle the sprint car and the Silver Crown because they would fit it too. But the problem is that nobody ever races the series, which is kind of only half true.
That's a lot of information.
Yeah. So let's move on.
So yeah, I think so. I guess the end result of all that is, while we sounded definitive at the beginning of the season, but then iRacing changed some stuff, and then we changed some stuff, and so here's the thing: we're going to be out on the track, we're going to be racing, we're just not sure where. Other than, of course, doing some more endurance racing, some road racing, and some oval racing. So there you go. That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to do some oval. We're going to do some road racing.
Hey, I can confirm that I will be in the V8. That's no buts and ifs about that.
So moving on to experience-wise, like I said, just briefly, the only experience I had, it's weird. After we were done the 24, it was almost like for that, like 2 weeks leading up to and into the event, I was sitting there just holding my breath. Like I was just at this moment of peak racingness, and then as soon as the 24 was over, I just kind of and just let out my breath, and I haven't actually, and then all of a sudden didn't go back on the track for about a week afterwards. It was like, all right, I got that out, I got that done, we survived, we did it, and then just breathed a sigh of relief, and then didn't do anything for a while. So I actually got back on the track this week, and the only thing I did was I was actually doing some practicing at Sebring because the next endurance race is Sebring 12 hours at the end of March, which I should be home for, as far as I know. I got some travel in March for work, but looks like March 28th will probably be safe. But we kind of had to figure out what car we were going to do. So I want to do some practicing and whatnot. So I went in the BMW, went from I think my first lap was a 2 minute 15 seconds, which is really bad, by the way, in case you didn't know. And then over the course of about another 20 laps or so, I got that down to about a 2:06. But comfortable, and it was funny because there was a couple of corners where I knew I was losing time, but in the BMW, and I think it's a combination of the BMW being used to it from the 24 and and these new pedals, well, my new old pedals, and being able to really attack the brakes going into the corners, like, because there's some of those corners, like, they're really sharp corners, and like I was just stabbing the brakes but not locking them up, because you can put a bunch of pressure into these pedals, but you're not reaching the like you're not passing the threshold until you push like that extra little bit harder kind of thing. So I was really going into some of those corners. There was a lot of fun, and there's a lot of space out there. So I think it's actually going to be, I mean, I guess Daytona did too, but I mean, I don't think it's going to be a very super high attrition race, because there's a lot of place to get off track, get offline, and not hit anything, because it's just this big old airport kind of track. So, but I'm glad they're not doing it at night, because, like I said, it's hard enough to focus in on your apexes on that course while you can see them, because, I mean, a lot of it, you're just on this big stretch of tarmac, and then all of a sudden you just see some curbing and maybe a cone, and it's like, oh, I guess I go that way. That's what Sebring is to me. But anyway, so the BMW felt instantly comfortable. Just got to work on speed, work on consistency. Then I took the HPD out there, and said, well, let's give this a shot and see how this works out. And it turns out I have no idea how to drive the HPD. All I did was smash it into walls and break the nose off, like many other guys had noticed at the Daytona 24. And I'm sure it is fast. And it was funny because with my field of view set right, if it was set wrong, it probably wouldn't have been as bad. But with it set correctly, like I have it, like it was terrifying. Like I felt like I was going a million miles an hour with my nose scraping against the concrete. And it's like, I don't like this. Like I have no idea when to turn. And then I hit the brakes and they'd lock up, and then I'd spin out. So I think I'm going to stick to the GT3 car for that. I mean, I'll give it another shot. Like I said, I didn't know what my braking points were. I know I can get through those corners quicker. I know I'm more nimble in the HPD, but I was not used to it, so I did not handle it as such. So that was my main experience. Is I just want to get some practice in there and figure out what I wanted to do for the Sebring race. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be the GT3 car, probably the BMW. Would be my vote. So that was my main experiences. Like I said, I'm going to get some practice in going on next little bit for the Daytona. Not that, I mean, like Chad said, it's not like you need to practice, but I want to practice running in a pack and stuff, because I haven't done it for quite some time. I mean, every now and again I'll jump into a Carb Cup race, but that doesn't count because the pack lasts approximately 5 seconds, and then everybody smashes into each other, and then you're in the pits. So I want to actually get some legitimate practice running in a pack before the Daytona 500.
The last time I ran in a pack, it sucked. Couldn't do anything.
Could you smash into things?
Yes. It's not that hard.
All right. So you had some more races, and we kind of had to cut you short last week because of everything. So, what have you been up to?
Just racing the V8, man.
On some challenging courses, I might add.
Yeah.
One more so than the other. I guess Sonoma isn't as bad, but it's still definitely got some. There's some challenge there.
Yeah. The first race, which was actually the same week of the 24 Hours of Daytona, was at Mount Panorama, or Bathurst. And, of course, for those of you that don't own the track, it's kind of like a nightmare.
Yeah. It fascinates me. I've yet to be brave enough to do anything other than practice on that track. Like, no, I have never actually raced on it, but I've practiced on it several times because it fascinates me, but terrifies me at the same time.
But with that being said, I will tell you guys that I was actually kind of, I don't want to use the word surprised, but yet I do, as to the fact that the V8 car was actually not that bad there. Like, I was kind of expecting it to be a little crazy, a little hairy, like, oh, this is kind of scary kind of thing going up and down the mountain, especially going down the mountain. Um, because the going up part is actually not that bad, because there's not like any super sharp to the left and right turns, and not a huge cliff drop off at the same time, which all of that is saved for the downhill part. But I, to be honest, like I was actually the first lap that I took there, the first couple laps, I took it a little easy, but then I was kind of like, huh, this is actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And it really wasn't. Like, I'm not making that up. So the race itself was kind of interesting because not only were we at Mount Panorama, and the fact that I was, I was a little down on speed compared to where I would like to have been, but Mount Panorama was kind of a mini endurance race because it was 33 laps, and it was kind of like the Road America V8 race where you run just a little over 2 minute lap times
Hmm.
because it's almost, I think it's almost a 4 mile track, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and so I guess, ended up in the second split, which there's usually only about three splits anyways, in the V8, and I'm pretty sure that there were three splits that night. But I somehow ended up in the second split, which had, in my 8 V8 starts that I've done, that is the only time that I've been in the second split. Go figure, it would have been at Mount Panorama. But at the same time, I was actually kind of happy about it because there were 21 cars in the field. I had car number 19. So I was like, okay, I'm a little down on speed, but I'm at least consistent enough that I feel like I won't crash. And in my mind, I was thinking that can be a good thing because if I'm slow enough to not really catch anybody, but they all crash, I might get a good finish. And that's basically what happened. Um,
Everybody smash into each other, and I got a good finish.
yeah,
Huzzah!
it didn't. Yeah, huzzah, huzzah! It didn't happen at the very beginning of the race, but over the course of the race, I ran a pretty good lap. I was a little upset with myself because I really wanted my lap times to be faster. Um, and but for the most part, I was consistent. I didn't hit anything at all in the entire course of the race, which was pretty awesome. I did end up with one incident point, which was stupid. Right at the part of the track where you start to go back down the hill, there's kind of like I don't even know what you would call that, but because it's not really a chicane, but yet it is. Where right where you start to turn to the right and go back down the hill there, I kind of overshot that turn just a little, and if I would have kept overshooting it, I would have gone head on into the fence because there's a wall right there. But I got the car slowed down enough, and part of the reason why I kind of overshot it because somebody was right behind me, and I was kind of in that panic mode where I was like, "Oh, please don't run me over going down the hill," and I barely overshot the turn, didn't hit anything, but a 1X popped up on the screen, and I was like, and I literally, you can watch in my stream, I was like, are you kidding me? There's a wall right there. How am I getting a 1X?
How am I off
So,
the track? The walls
yeah,
prevent me from going off the track because off the track is a cliff.
exactly. And so I had to wait until we got all the way back around the track, but I specifically made sure that I looked to see what was over there when I came back around, and it turns out there is a little patch of grass that's like a foot wide, and it runs right there, and I just happened to hit it. So that was my 1X. In my eyes, I still had a zero incident race, but that's the way that I see it, and iRacing sees it differently. So we agree to disagree, I guess. Um,
But still, a 1X. I mean, okay, so you had a 0X race in your mind, but a
yeah,
1X is bloody impressive.
yeah. Now, what kind of made it funny, it's not funny, but it's funny. At the same time that I was doing this race, Andy was trying to get his SR up so that he could participate in the 24-hour race, which of course he didn't do. But what was funny is that after that race at Mount Panorama, and because I had such a clean race, and because there's so many turns and it's a difficult track, and the race was pretty lengthy, I think I gained like almost 0.40 SR. I mean, I gained like a ton of SR. And it almost got me back to 4.99. Not quite, but it got me close. So in the back of my mind, I was kind of laughing, and I was like, man, Andy should just come and race at Mount Panorama. I mean, you could gain like 40 SR. You knock it out in no time. Um, but my race there went well. Like I said, didn't crash anything. And I ended up getting 10th place, which, as of this moment, is my worst finish in the V8 series. So to be in the second split, very difficult racetrack, had to make a pit stop, which I didn't screw up, thank the Lord. And I ended up getting 10th. I was pretty darn happy with. So,
I'm actually surprised, being, the way that Mount Panorama is shaped like that, the pit road doesn't just kind of go up and down like a big, but just because they could.
they should just have the pit road hanging on the side of the cliff.
Yeah,
Like you pit like this.
You have to put chocks out to make sure the car just
Yeah.
doesn't flip over and roll down the hill.
Oh, yeah. That would be great. Make it more fun. So I was really happy, not just because of my finish, but just because of the race. Because it was actually kind of fun, to be honest, at Mount Panorama. It was hard, though. And I was pretty sore after that one, too, with those seat and everything and the up and downness and all around. And
Hmm.
yeah. So now this past week, we went to Sonoma. It was a much easier race, but the challenge with Sonoma has always been a slick track. I especially found it slick in the Cup car. And I'm not talking like oil slick, but the sun's beating down on the thing, and it becomes a little bit difficult to push the throttle all the way down on the exit of the corners because the thing just gets loose. So I went into this V8 race with a little bit more speed than I thought I might have, because in the past I've struggled at Sonoma so far as getting the speed going. But I've had the consistency. It was kind of the same thing as Mount Panorama. But I got pretty comfortable. My lap times weren't horrible. They were pretty good. They were better than, compared to the field. They were better to what Mount Panorama was. And I decided that I wanted to qualify. I've qualified for the last three races in the V8, so I was like, I want to qualify, start as close to the front as possible. And my qualifying time ended up being pointless because there were like 18 people in our split, and I was back in the third split, and I started in fourth, which, with my qualifying lap, which is great. But if I wouldn't have qualified, I would have started in fourth, because only four cars qualified, and I had car number three.
Hmm.
So I was guaranteed to start in fourth no matter what. So the beginning of that race actually went pretty well. I got cleared of the guy who started in third. The guy in first, I think he won the pole. He overshot the heck out of the turn at the top of the hill there and went off into the grass. And so the guy that started in second, I believe, and then me, ended up 1-2 out of the first couple of turns. So I was in second. And for most of the first few laps, that's where I was. Then some guy, I just remember he's in the 11 car. I don't remember his name.
Hamlin?
Do what?
Hamlin?
Denny Hamlin. Denny! Came out of nowhere. The guy was like flying, lap time wise. I mean, he was fast. And he caught me going into the hairpin at turn 11, which I was so thankful for, because it was easy to just let him go, and it didn't really cost me any time. And then he just took off into the sunset. So then I was in third. The guy that was in fourth caught me, and I started kind of getting upset with myself, because I was like, okay, I'm not running consistent enough. I need to be better at being consistent. And it's like, as soon as he caught me, I like flipped a switch and suddenly became way more consistent. And it's like he flipped the switch and his car got a lot looser than what it had been. His car was pretty stable up until that point, and then suddenly it got really loose. Whereas my car never changed throughout the race, but my mind changed, and I just buckled down and started hitting lap times. And I ended up driving away a little bit from him, and I think I beat him by like 3 seconds by the time the race was over with. But the guy that had run me down, caught me, passed me, and then drove away. I'm not sure what happened to him, but somehow he ended up in a crash. So at the checkered flag, I got my first podium in the V8 in a second place finish, and had zero incident race as well. So I was pretty proud about that one.
Well
Golfer's
done,
cut.
sir. Well done, sir.
So yay, second place. And now we go to Circuit Zolder, which is one of my favorite road courses. So I'm kind of excited about racing this week. Although now I'm worried that I'll be in the second split again because my A rating has climbed more. But
Yeah, see, that's the thing with getting better. All of a sudden, now you're expected to rise up to the challenge, sir. Because you're going to
yeah,
be in
I
higher and
don't want
higher
to rise
splits.
up. I want to have a chance to win.
It's not about winning; it's about the experience, and
Yes,
it's
there
about.
is.
Oh, well, at the
Uh,
beginning, it was about just getting better. Now you're all like,
yeah,
"Wait, I'm a road racer now. The heck with this! I want to
yeah.
win."
Get out of my way. No, but I am still, in all seriousness, having a blast in the V8 series. And I've, somehow I'm still third in the Division 6 points. And I'm in the top 100 for the whole thing out of like just under 800 people. So, points wise, which I am noticing, but I'm not, like dedicated to where I finish in the points, but I'm doing pretty well for a rookie.
Yeah, no kidding.
Do I get an award?
No, but
I get a certificate.
well, if you can,
I'm
finish.
actually not that far away from the guy who's leading Division 6. I mean, I'm only 23 points back. So, I mean, if I could put in a few good races and maybe he doesn't, then you never know.
There you go. See, there's your certificate.
Yeah.
And Andy says he'll send you a trophy too. He doesn't really say that, but I'm saying it for him. I mean,
Oh. Is it going to have the little slogan on the bottom that says, "Go away, I know what I'm doing"?
uh, winner Division 6, Chad Dalton. Go away. I knew what I was doing.
Yep.
So
Told you I knew what I was doing.
yeah, winner. Told you I knew what I was doing. Continued to go away. Listener of the show, Josh Tanner, has sent us an email regards to his experiences with the Daytona 24, and I will hit some highlights here. Spoiler alert, it was a good experience, and he felt that he needed to write into us and let us know about it, which is cool. We encourage everybody to write in some great stories about what's going on. His team ran the BMW, same as us. Apparently his team is consisting mostly of oval drivers. Well, actually, no. We had mostly road racers, I guess. It was, mostly me and you who are oval guys, except for, well, you're apparently a road racer now. But
I'm a professional.
um,
Precision and speed.
but they were very smart, and they worked on a setup that was stable rather than speed, which was the smart way to approach that race for sure. They wanted to make sure that they had as low incidents as possible. But they ended up finishing the race with only contact with other cars twice, which is pretty good. They got rear-ended in the first couple hours and got some damage there. And apparently a rough
I,
came and cut them off about halfway through.
they got run over by a McLaren.
Hmm.
And when I read that in the email, I thought, I have a connection to you guys.
We can bond because we got ran over by
We can
a
sit around the
McLaren in the
campfire and talk about it.
in the first couple hours too. First 15 minutes, as a matter of fact. But apparently the damage didn't affect speed or handling, which is good for them. So basically a near perfect race for them. So they had the two contacts that didn't affect them, and they and they never even got out of shape enough to get a loss of car control, which is awesome. So not many incidents there. They ran with five racers, the same as us. And they, again, smart. They had two people in TeamSpeak at all time for spotting and crew chiefing. I wonder how many teams actually went that far and did that. I mean, because like it helped us a lot, as we talked about when we were going over
Except for me.
our
Get away.
results. Yeah, well, other than you, Mr. Perfect, but um, let's see. And they gained some positions. Or they start. Actually, I'll go back into the actual email here. It says we started almost last and just gradually gained positions as cars wrecked out, and we continued to run clean laps with only minor off tracks. Probably in that stupid bus stop where I got so many freaking on.
What was that? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, it's bus stop. I don't know. Grass where grass shouldn't be, man. When I took over, this is Josh speaking, of course, as the last driver, we were first in class, 6 seconds ahead of second place at the 22-hour mark. So, of course, the first thing he does is he puts two tires in the grass in the horseshoe, and while he was trying to let an HPD by, I can relate. I did that, I think, at least 4 times in my 2 stints in our race. It's like, all right, I'm just going to let this guy by. Oh, no, okay, I'm just going to go park in this lawn for a little bit then. Okay, that's fine. You just go by. No, yeah, the
Gonna
next
help
guy.
the grounds team.
You
Keep
go
the
by
grass
too.
flowing.
I'll just hang out here until I have a nice gap to get out. Hello, F3 key relative. Let's just see what's going on here. Oh, I can come back on the track now. Yeah. So he started to lose the car, but I managed to collect it. But now seconds distance can now be measured in car lengths. He gets by him soon afterwards, and I keep reading it in the third person. I'll just read the email. And he must have been running laps in the 145, 146 range the whole stint because I was running our fastest laps of the race, never getting out of the 148s, and he was still running away. We decided fuel strategy was our only way. They would run out of fuel as they were pulling into their stall for their final pit stop, so they were cutting it close on the way that the fuel the other team that they were competing against. And they would just barely make the finish, and we would end up having a half fuel run to finish out the race. So they were on a different strategy than the team they were competing against for that first place. We decided to pit for just enough fuel to make it, but then something happened in our favor. They merged too early out of the pits, earning a black flag. We are now a lap and a half ahead, but still needing to pit. We decided to hit the pits for a full pit stop at the right mark to barely make it to the end. This gives us a 4-second advantage on our pit stop lap compared to theirs, because obviously they needed less fuel. We are now almost 50 seconds ahead with 20 minutes left. I slowed my pace just a bit to ensure for no screw-ups. I can relate to that one too, because I know that's how I was racing this race. Not that I could go much slower, but hey, And he is still running out of his mind, gaining a second every lap and sometimes as high as 4 seconds. It was going to be a close race, and if he caught me, there was no way I could hold off such a superior driver. At the white flag, the distance sits at 4 seconds, easily obtainable for him. He's reading this like a story. He was really he really got into this. I could tell. Like
You should write a book.
he had fun. You can tell by the way that he wrote this down.
Well, of course he had fun.
Well, yes, but you get my meaning. I watch the gap every chance I get, which probably wasn't smart. Again, I can relate to that because I do that all the
Don't, not
time.
smart. Don't ever do that. Don't look in the mirrors. Don't look at your black boxes. I don't even use black boxes.
Well, okay, don't look in your mirrors is not good advice to the drivers out there.
On the straightaways.
Don't look at anything around you. Just put the blinders on and just drive straight ahead and ignore all other cars. Oh wait, you just became 90% of the drivers that drive around the city I live in. I tell you that much.
Yeah. On the straightaways, look in the mirrors. And the turns, nope.
Let's see but the distance never gets any smaller. As I make it out of the bus stop alone, a huge smile breaks out. As I cross the line, the gap finishes at 3.6 seconds, almost the exact amount of time our early pit stop saved us. Easily my best experience in the sim, and probably my best gaming moment, was what I called it when I was talking about ours. Best gaming moment as well. What a race. So, awesome job there, Josh, and your team. And thanks for sharing that experience with us. Glad that you won class, man. That's awesome. And like I said, with that 4-second gap, like you probably raced your your butt off in that last lap to make sure that you maintain that gap. So that was great.
It's pretty, but just as a side note, it's pretty amazing that you raced for 24 hours and it literally all came down to that.
Well, I know. Like our race, everybody, nobody was on the same lap by the end of our
Yeah,
race.
yeah. Nobody was racing for anything in our race, but in their race, I mean, Josh had to run like a perfect last lap, and they've been racing for 24 hours.
I know. Like that's what it should always come down. Like that's what it should come down to. Is something like that. You know,
Yeah.
like that's awesome. So, great job, Josh. Thanks for sharing. Everybody else, and I encourage you to go out and share your racing experiences with us, and count the colors in your room. Anyway, it's a Friends reference. You wouldn't get it. Anyway,
Actually, I
so
would because I've seen that show.
Phoebe Buffet. One last thing before we go into our poll question and get to the end of this show. I don't think we kind of touched on and didn't really go into detail on, but we're going to be racing the Sebring 12-hour race. We had a great turnout from the listeners for our listener team, as we mentioned last week on the show for the Daytona race. And most of those guys seem to be, I think actually all of them, seem to be on board as well. So for those of you who couldn't make it due to scheduling or whatever, let us know. And we're organizing. We're communicating basically daily with the guys from the other team and our own team members and stuff. So if you want to participate in that race, in the next endurance race, as part of one of the listener teams, or with one of us, or however we split things up, let us know, and we'll make it happen. We'll organize it, make sure that you got teammates. We're hoping to have multiple teams, not just the two, but hopefully having more than two teams going out into the 12-hour race, because it's less of a race. You need less drivers, so we're going to be splitting up into many teams. My dream is to have everybody with the same iRating as us, and we'll give you all the same paint scheme, and then we will just flood one split with just nothing but podcast dragons. This is my dream. Because, I mean, if it's only teams of 3, and we had enough, to go into the Daytona race for almost 2 teams of 6, well, that's 4 teams right there. And then if we get some more listeners who want to participate and join in, then, yeah, we could do this, man. That excites me.
Yeah. So you can send Trevor or I an email, and we'll hook you up with our communications.
Yep. Yeah, we got a forum set up right now where we're spreading, sharing ideas and talking about setups and stuff like that, and getting ready. Even though it's a month and a half away, that's how geared up we are for this race. Like that's how much excitement we took out of Daytona, was that we were
I think
already
I'm the only
prepared
one that
for the next
hasn't
one.
practiced yet. I haven't run a single lap yet.
Huh? Slacker. So
Hey, I'm going for wins in the V8, man.
I don't have time for your endurance racing. That's a month and a half away, man. I don't even want to think about
In a
that
month,
yet.
I will be all yours.
So anyway, send us an email. Just let us know, and we'll make sure that you're into the communication loop. Be warned, we talk a lot when it comes to these preparing for these races. So if you're not afraid of some extra emails and some extra information, then by all means, let us know. We'll hook you up, and we will form a dynasty of iRacing Today radio show listeners to take over iRacing. That's my goal. And then if there's enough of us, then then we'll finally get Tony to hire me on as a permanent member of the staff, which is the end goal of all of this. We're 86 shows in, and that's our end goal. So you can catch us on our Twitter handles if you want. You can email us to feedback@iracingtodayradio.com. No, iRacingtodayradio.com. Is that our email address? I don't know.
Just go to the forum on the contact us page on the website.
That works too.
It'll come to the feedback email.
True. So any of those means, however you need to get a hold of us, just get a hold of us, man, and we'll make it happen. So that is, I think that's all of that, and then
Also, I mean, this is like not till August. I think the first one's in July, and then the other one's in August. But we're gonna try to do the 6 hours of the Glen and the 24 hours of the Spa too. So be thinking ahead.
oh yeah, absolutely. If there's an endurance race happening, like in that series, we are going to be attempting to participate in it, be it us, be it listeners, be it whatever. So if there's an endurance racing, and you want to be part of that, let us know. If you even if you can't make this next one, make the one after that, because we're hooked on endurance racing now. So
Hooked on phonics. Oh,
hooked hooked on endurance racing worked for me.
and it will work for you too.
It didn't make me a better talker, however, it apparently made me a better road racer. So, you take what you can get.
Yeah, it's the
So,
little things that matter.
isn't it? So in our oh wait, I'm sorry. The correct segue would be so anyway. We had a poll question in January, and we didn't get a chance to talk about it last week because we were talking at length about our Daytona race, and it was a quick hit, easy question, just kind of let's just see what you guys say. And the poll question was, are you a righty or wait? I don't like the way this is written. Go back and do it again, because it should be, are you left or right-handed? But the sentence, are you a lefty or righty-handedness, makes no sense, sir. I reject your English, sir. And that's coming from me, and I've already proven that I can't speak.
Yeah. Okay.
So the question is, are you a righty or a lefty? Was the poll question, and the results are most of you are normal, which I always joke about because my best friend is a lefty, so I always joke with him, which doesn't even make sense because my youngest daughter is a left-handed as well, so he always just says, half of your kids are left-handed. It's like, yeah, I know, but I'm making fun of you right now, and that's what's important. So 78% of you, including myself, are right-handed. Apparently 16% are left-handed, and 7% is the people that we should be jealous of, and those are the ambidextrous people, which I believe is Chad as well. Because I kind of wish I was, because my left hand is useless. So it's just kind of there. It's like an ornament. You know, if I could take it off, just kind of hang it off on the wall when I'm not using it, because I never use it for anything important. Well, I mean, I guess when I'm driving, but, you know, it can never be the control hand, man. Like, because it doesn't know what to do. I can't write with it. I guess I can catch a softball with it, so that's got to count for something. It's part of the driving experience. It downshifts, so it does that.
You can catch a softball?
Yeah, when I play softball, I wear a glove on my left hand. Because
that doesn't count.
Because I throw with my right.
You're using a glove.
Well, does it matter what instrument I'm using? Oh, so my left hand, if I could catch a softball bare-handed with it, then that would be impressive. But if I use a glove...
it would be.
I wasn't saying it was impressive.
Have you held a softball? That thing's huge.
Yeah, I know. I play softball. I ran a softball team for a bunch out here. Yeah, and then I got old and lazy.
A lot of softball, too.
Then I got old and lazy, and I don't do it anymore.
Yes. So, in case you haven't picked up, Trevor voted for right-handed. I voted for the big word. I like big words. No, so here's the interesting thing. Like, when I was a little kid, my aunt is actually left-handed, and everybody else, including my mom and their family, is right. So my aunt's always been picked on, you know, as the left-handed person. But when I was young, and when we had this poll question and I went to go vote for it, I kind of thought that I could do both pretty well. But I actually went and asked my mom, I was like, do you think that my left hand works pretty well? Because I wanted to make sure that I voted for the right thing here in our little poll question.
I have a question on the internet, and I don't know the answer. Could you help me?
And so she kind of confirmed what I thought, where when I was a little kid, there was actually quite a time frame where they actually didn't know which hand I was, because I used both of them and used both of them pretty well with everything that I did. So there was actually kind of a time, like I said, where they were like, wonder which hand he is. To kind of throw an asterisk out, I am mostly right-handed. I write with my right hand. I do things with my right hand. But my left hand does not seem to struggle with doing things either. Now, when I go to write a letter, because, you know, people still do that, I always use my right hand. I don't ever just sit down and use my left hand. But I drive down the street primarily with my left hand all the time. So, like, I do a lot of things with my left hand that I never even use with my right hand. I never caught a softball with my left hand, though. except with a glove. So there's that. So, anyways, that's why I voted for that because I seem to be able to do both hands pretty well without much, oh my gosh, what's happening going on. So,
Without too much, oh my gosh, what is happening?
yeah, that's the best way I can explain that.
What's happening?
So, to the other people that voted, I think, let's see, 7%, what percentage of that would I be?
What
Like,
percentage of
two,
the 7%? Wait, what?
yeah. Well, I'm trying to calculate it down so I can get the other percentage of the other people so I can do a shout out to my home people.
So ambidextrous does not help with math, is what you're saying.
No,
Okay, good to know.
it
So
doesn't.
there are people that are along with you in that. So make sure you go over and vote in our new poll question, although it isn't as new as it was last week, but it's still new to you if you haven't voted. And that is, and I'm liking the way the results are going actually so far. I'm surprised in this one.
Actually, this one is probably the most interesting poll question that we're ever going to have.
I find that hard to believe.
Okay.
However, I am very interested in where the results are going so far. So if you haven't voted, make sure you do. So I make sure that we have our proper, everything is, we get our proper split on what information we have. And that poll question, if you head over to iRacingTodayRadio.com, is which age, in quotes, I don't know why, range of iRacers do you fall under? So it's basically, hey man, how old are you? So we can send you targeted advertising. No, wait, that's not true at all. But and I will say that
Don't
right
text
now,
the Alice if it's not right for you.
my age group is winning. So I'm by
Hey,
winning. I'm winning
you're
over
not allowed
here,
to give
and I'm winning
away
over
your
there.
age.
I'm not. Wait,
No, we do that in March.
I'm just saying my group is winning.
Yeah, which is giving away your group right now, which now we know what Trevor voted for.
Well, it's not like I voted for what I is, what I is. And it's not like I have a birthday between now and
What
then.
is? What is? What is?
So I think that
I
about
think it's
covers.
interesting because it will help define the range of age, not only just for the people on iRacing, but that listen to our show. That's why I think it's interesting.
Yes, absolutely, and it's and that's the same reason because we don't know. This obviously isn't going to tell us, how old the general group of iRacers are, but it gives us an idea of where our listeners sit. Which is why, like I said, I find it kind of surprising as I fiddle with my headset once again. Also, I love my new headset. Although the microphone isn't as good as my old one for when I do streaming stuff, but I did some fiddling with it. It sounds actually pretty decent. The sound of it is really good, but and it blocks out everything else. I just apparently shouldn't use it for when I'm doing podcasting because that has totally messed me up. So I have two last things to handle on my side before we head out. One is the fact that I told you guys about my project that I'm doing with my daughter, and we recorded our second episode last night. So that is up on the website, and I actually have the website registered. I still have to actually basically make the website right now, but for now, because I had some people asking about, like my idea was I was going to get a few episodes up, then worry about while I was getting the website up and going, and then getting the iTunes up and going and stuff like that. But I had some people asking, so I've set up a bare bones version of the website, basically where all it has is the two episodes up there, so you can go grab them and listen to them if you want. And that is over at girlmeetsboymeetsworld.com, all one word. So the name of the show, Girl Meets Boy Meets World. That website's up. Do not look too closely at it because it is basically nothing but like plywood and 2x4s and a couple of episodes hiding in there. So if you want to go listen to the shows through there, I have my friend and fellow racer, Mr. John Hensley, has helped me work on a logo, which will obviously be incorporated into the show, the web design when I get it all up and going, hopefully in the next week or so, and make it actually look like a real website. And then after that, I'll get the iTunes and everything figured out, so you can get it through that way. But if you want to go, if you want to be impatient, you want to go listen to the shows now, they're over there on that website, so you can go check that out. And the second thing is, people who are listening to me, doing what we're going to do on Twitter, that thing where I write things and you read them. Humble Bundle, which I've fallen in love with the way that they do things over there. I mentioned I bought some stuff over there not too long ago. Their bundle this month, or I think it's on a monthly basis. Anyway, they had a big Star Wars one. And most of these games are games that I actually had before on disc back in the past. But to get them all in one fell swoop, because I have no idea where those discs are, even if I still have them. They could have been thrown out for all I know. But I really want to go back and play the old Dark Forces / Jedi Knight games, and they were part of this bundle. So I picked up the whole bundle at a very reasonable price. So if you want to get a bunch of Star Wars games, older games obviously, go check them out. But if you don't, there's a couple games that were part of this bundle that I already own. So I figured that what I would do is I would say, hey, listeners to the show, if you want either of these two games, let me know. Send me an email through the feedback email address, or just send it to me at iRacingtoday@gmail.com. And let me know which of these two games you want. And if by Friday, if I have more than one person looking for a particular game, I'll just random number generate and send you out the code for it. And those two games are Knights of the Old Republic, which is an RPG. Kind of consider one of those classic ones. Most people own it already, but I already have a copy of it. Like, I already own it, so I have an extra copy now. So if you want that game, let me know. And also where are you at there? Looking through Star Wars Empire at War Gold Pack, and that was an RPG they did, not an RPG, sorry, an RTS. That real-time strategy game where you're moving around your units and everything. So I already own that as well. So if you want a copy of that, let me know. So just send me an email and which the two games you would like, and if like I said, if I get more than one, I'll make a random number generate to decide who gets it, and I'll send you out the code for it so you can redeem it, and those codes are going to be redeemable on Steam. So let me know, and hopefully I can give these two games away. Last time I had extra codes, I just put it on Twitter, but I figured this was a fairer way to do it, and I know that a listener of the show is actually going to get the games. So a prize by proxy. Not that I'm saying, hey, look at me, I'm giving a prize. Like, hey, I already own these games, so I want one of you guys to enjoy one of these two great games. So let me know. And that's all I have for my personal end of the show tidbits. Anything from you, Chad, before we head out?
Nope.
Well, isn't that great? So,
drive fast.
The takeaways are: free games, let me know. Listener team for the endurance racing, let us know. We'll hook it up. And I don't know what you were doing over there.
I was saying let us know.
Yes. And I think that about covers it. So that will about do it for this week. Big thanks to all of you out there for listening, of course. Remember, the show is available for download on iTunes and Zune under the podcast section, where we would really appreciate a review to help us get the word out if you haven't done so already. The show is also available on YouTube and Twitch at Ratface Productions, and mirrored over on Chad's channel, which is It's Chadillac. Remember to update your bookmarks and your follows, because he's changed that. You can check out the website for information, archives, links, and the polls we mentioned on the show over at our website, which is iRacingTodayRadio.com. You can like the show on Facebook by searching for the iRacing Today Radio Show over there. And, of course, for most of your daily information when it comes to iRacing and gaming and all things related, you can follow us on Twitter. I'm at iRacingToday, and Chad's over at It's Chadillac.
Now you can email any questions, comments, and poll suggestions that you might have to feedback@iRacingTodayRadio.com, or you can go to our website and fill out the Contact Us form, which will do the same thing.
Which will contact us.
Yeah, go figure. But of course, feel free to add myself and Trevor as friends on the iRacing members website so that we can max out our friends list and brag about it. Are you thinking about joining iRacing? And we just had somebody do this last week.
Yep. And referred me, because that's how it goes. Although I will say, when I questioned her on why she had well, I didn't question her. I said, "Hey, good job choosing me over Chad for the referral," and she said that she was kind of torn between the two of us, and it was my puffy hair that leaned her in my direction. So apparently, puffy hair wins referral fees.
Apparently, to which I responded that my hair and makeup guy was fired. But if you're going to be joining iRacing, please refer either Trevor, me, because he's already gotten it once now, in the referral box when you sign up by entering Ratface. You know they can't see you on the audio.
I know, it doesn't matter.
Ratface at gmail.com for Trevor, or iRacingLegend at gmail for me. But until next week, the week of the Daytona 500, ladies and gentlemen, remember that the race is rarely won in the first turn,
but it is often lost there. Good night, everybody.